This is part 2 of the eMachines eMonster 500A video series. I would highly recommend watching part 1 first for more information on this computer. There's a link to that video in the video description. I'm going to be going over a few things I came across as I was using the machine that I thought were worth mentioning. For any files or drivers that I talk about, all of the download links will be in the video description. I left one benchmark out of the part 1 video. As I was running the hard drive test on the DOS benchmark SpeedSys 4.78, the PC suddenly froze. It was probably a bad idea to run this test on an SSD running through an adapter like I was doing. From that point on, Windows 98 would not load anymore. I would see the Windows 98 screen when booting, but it wouldn't get to the desktop. I tried deleting the partition and completely reformatting the drive, but fdisk would fail to make a new partition. I tried a mechanical SATA drive, same thing. I believe the IDE to SATA converter board must have failed at that point, so I bought a brand new IDE drive, a Western Digital WD Caviar SE, which is a 250GB IDE hard drive, made in October of 2007, and installed that into the machine. I did have to remove the HDD clicker, but it was redundant now that I had an actual mechanical drive installed again, and the insides looked a bit cleaner now without the HDD clicker installed. I used my restore CD to make a 128GB partition and restored the PC back to factory, and everything was back to normal. Here's some footage of the PC starting up with the new hard drive installed. Getting files onto the PC was pretty easy, but I had to install a USB storage driver first, so I can plug in a USB thumb drive and have it be recognized as an external drive. The driver is available at Phil's Computer Lab. I used version NUSB 3.3E as 3.6 didn't seem to work for me. It's small enough to fit on a floppy disk, so with a USB floppy drive, it can easily move over to the eMonster, either that or burn it to a CD. In part 1, I briefly mentioned the new network card I had installed. I purchased this StarTech PCI network card a few years ago on Amazon for about $13. Sadly, this card is now discontinued and Amazon doesn't sell it anymore. It might be available at other locations, however. There are Windows 98 drivers available on StarTech's website, which is what I used to get it working with this machine. It doesn't say it on the website, but they are in the zip file that gets downloaded. In the video card settings, one setting that is very important to enable, which isn't enabled by default, is the Use Palette-Based Textures button in the ATI control panel. Doing so will enable direct 3D support for this graphics card on Final Fantasy VII, so I wasn't stuck playing on software rendering mode. Here are some comparisons in speeds and frame rates between software rendering and direct 3D mode. I had a lower frame rate and lag during some screen transitions and animations when running in software rendering mode, as well as backgrounds that weren't blended in together well. The direct 3D mode fixes all those issues. For Half-Life, native Direct 3D settings will allow the game to run, however I had some extremely unplayable input lag when looking in certain directions. I had to do the following to fix this. In the game's directory, enter the Valve HW folder and edit the D3D config file with Notepad. Add the line gl_d3d flip space 1 at the end of it, and then save. I relaunched the game and the input lag that I had was gone. I mentioned the onboard Crystal sound chip in part 1, but didn't give any audio samples of how it sounds. All I can do is provide audio samples of what this onboard chip sounds like. There are so many different sound cards, it would be hard to compare all of them to this onboard chip in this single video. I put together a handful of samples to listen to. part 1, I also mentioned briefly that I had an e-tower when I was younger. Well, I also have one right now. This is the eTower 500 IS, which retailed for about $400 in 1999 or $780 in 2025. I'm not going to go fully in depth with it, but some notable differences are that it has a Tri-Gem Florida TG motherboard with a socket 370 slot for the Celeron processor, not a Pentium. It has no AGP slot, only PCI for graphics cards. It also doesn't come with a graphics card, it has an onboard ATI Rage Pro Turbo graphics chip instead. I also have the eTower User's Guide and 2 restore CDs, one of them still sealed. I bought this before I bought the eMonster, and it does work fine, but I haven't used it ever since I got the eMonster. I usually don't sell things I don't want, so I'm probably going to end up donating it as I don't see myself ever using it again, and it feels a bit redundant to have this one when I have the eMonster. That sums up the second part of this eMonster series. I can't see any reason to make a third video on this PC, but if I can think of more than enough things to talk about, it might happen. Thanks for watching.